next we have Senator Rob Kane, and I believe Senator Crisco is going to come up and testify together. And next will be Representative John Hampton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Representative Butler, Senator Winfield, Senator Wong, Representative Kupchik, members of the Housing Committee. We are both here for Senate Bill 103. Now, you know this has to be a good bill because Senator Crisco and I don't think we voted together on anything in the 6 years that I've been here. When my light's red, his light's green, and vice versa. So I'm teasing. But the two of us are here today for Senate Bill 103. You heard Mr. Block give testimony earlier. And first of all, let me give him an extreme amount of credit. It was just yesterday that my staff and I realized that our bill was in front of you today, so I had to get to him in a hurry, and he did a great job in short notice, so I give him a lot of credit for that. But as to your question earlier, this bill is simply put, will provide potential renters, tenants, persons to have notification whether the dwelling that they are seeking has an operative sprinkler system or not. Simply done. And that's what we're looking for. We know of the tragedy that took place in Mr. Block's family, and who knows if there are countless others. I'm sure there are. Let's prevent that. This is why we're here. This is why we're a legislative body, to prevent further tragedies. And we can do the right thing by putting this bill forward. Senator?
Thank you, Senator. Just want to remind the Senator we do have a consent calendar where we vote agree on issues.
Excuse me, for the record, could you just state your name?
Senator Crisco, 17th District. I also want to associate myself with the remarks of my dear colleague. It's something that's extremely important, and also commend Mr. and Mrs. Block for their advocacy on their misfortune. Many times people experience a misfortune and nothing is done about it, but they have definitely been the opposite, a leader, and they are really, really outstanding advocates for this. Also, the committee may also want to consider for units of higher education to notify their students that if they are going to live off campus, whether those units have safety standards, and if the university or college does own off-campus housing, that those off-campus housing have safety equipment, just assuming like sprinkler systems. That is so important. May I only digress for a minute in regards to the question about the homelessness for youth? Mayor Harp and former Representative Jason Bartlett are leading the state in creating a teen center in the city of New Haven, which a component of that teen center will have footage allowed for homeless youth. And it's really a far-reaching approach for youth homelessness. And it's unfortunate people are just not aware of that problem. So I thank the committee for the consideration of the Senate bill, and also perhaps expanding it to make sure that other people, are covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Representative Adams?
I guess a question of clarity on concerning the closing of sprinkler system in all units. Right now, I don't know about under the lower Fairfield, anybody that's 4-story and higher is required to have a sprinkler system. Anybody that's 3-story and under, any old construction is grandfathered in. So, what do you propose that all new construction provide you with this information, or are you proposing that 4-family and above, if built, they got to, the code require them to have the sprinkler system in? So 3-family and beyond that do not require the sprinkler system to be in. So this bill proposed what? Just to recognize what the housing code say, that anybody to have 3-family house or condominium don't have to have the sprinkler system in?
Thank you, Representative, for the question. No, not really. So to your point, you certainly know the code and the law that takes place. I don't, for example, and most people don't. So all we're looking to do is for notification to that possible tenant to say whether it has one or not.
Okay.
We're not changing the code. We're not requiring anything. When you go to rent it, because I wouldn't know 4-family versus 3-family, and I don't expect many people here to know that. But when you go to look at that potential apartment, you would know whether it has one or not, simply
Okay.
put.
Okay, good enough.
Is that right?
Representative Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senators, for your testimony. And I was thinking of this after Mr. Block spoke earlier, and to go to the importance of why this bill might be, very significant for us moving forward. In that specific instance, was there a sprinkler system in the building that just happened to be inoperable and they weren't aware of that, or was it a situation where there was no sprinkler system and they just had no idea that there wasn't a sprinkler system?
My recollection that there was none, but they were never given notice and understanding whether there was one or not, and that may have changed their decision in choosing that particular residence.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Representative Byron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In reading this, it says the bill would require landlords to notify tenants as to the existence or non-existence of an operative sprinkler system in the dwelling unit. How would you suggest notification? Would this be verbal? Would this be written? Would this be part of a lease? Would this be an amendment to a lease?
That's a very good question, and certainly that's one that we can work on throughout the process.
I would just be afraid that, if somebody verbalized that and then that person said, well, I never heard that. You never told me that. Well, there could be an argument and debate right there. It also goes on to say renters should be told, once again, it sounds verbal, about whether there is an operative sprinkler system in that unit. And again, it's consistent with how, in the previous paragraph with notifying. Like I said, I would be nervous whether if somebody, again, verbalized it and then it was refuted.
No, we agree. We don't believe it should be verbal. It should be written into the lease.
Great, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to acknowledge the senator's good effort on part in advocating on behalf of their constituent. I've gotten texts, I've gotten follow-up calls. I really do want to let Mr. Block know that you have senators that are really working hard on behalf of your advocacy. What we're looking at here is notification into contracts, truly to just be a normal term of clarification. Would that be correct? I think that the key I want to say over and over again is this is just a public notice that as you're entering into a rental agreement that you know what you're getting. Is that true?
That's exactly right, Senator, and the representative's questions are good ones. And as you know, been around this building long enough that the opportunity to fix things in a bill, in legislation, certainly happens and will plenty of time to take place. So if we need to clarify any of these issues, we will. Today is certainly the public hearing, but we would like to continue this bill to move forward because I think it's very important, the underlying value of it.
I just want to add also that Mrs. Block, who is a constituent of mine in Woodbridge, has taken a strong advocacy, and I believe there's one day in the town of Woodbridge at the fire department where this issue is acknowledged, and children and other people are instructed in regards to fire safety.
Representative Byron.
Just a final follow-up. I just want to be clear with Mr. Block. I'm very much in favor of this. My only concern is how this is disseminated. So, absolutely. And it's very
Okay.
in the testimony. It's very vague.
You leave yourself open for litigation if you have it in a verbal
Exactly.
context. I'm looking for something that people are notified clearly, disseminated to the people, and then they can make their own decision.
And that's what I was afraid of, and you've just answered that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, senators, for your testimony.